With blood and rage of crimson red, ripped from a corpse so freshly dead, together with our hellish hate, we'll burn you all! This is your fate! Welcome to the Weekly Poll. I'm Benny Potter from the Comic Storian channel, and this is my usual crew of a motley red lanterns. You're all angry. Be angry. Okay. We're not a very angry crew of Red Lanterns. We're the softer Red Lanterns. All right, as usual, I'm from Comic Storian. The link will be in the description down below, and we're over in the sidebar over here at Marvel Explained. We're on Marvel Explained. You guys all know Rob, so I'm going to cut you off this week, Rob, and let Dave introduce himself and our special guest, Sal.
All right.
Dave.
Hi. Start, Dave. Start.
Go!
All right, so I'm from a channel called Comics Reviews. I just started. I've got 2 videos in total so far. I'm planning out the next 3 or 4.
Beast mode.
But I go into a more like product-oriented view on comic books. I review the quality of things like the print, and also I do a little spiel on how it is for somebody getting into comics to say collect Civil War, which I'm working on right now, appropriately when Rob is doing his Civil War.
Boy, that's conveniently timed. Almost like we planned this kind
of
thing.
Right? It's almost like I want to get all Rob's viewers.
All right, Sal, go do your spiel so then Rob can introduce himself and explain what we just did.
Sure, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am Sal. I'm from a channel called TVLittleHouse, youtube.com/TVLittleHouse. We do a slew of pop-inspired shows, most of them comic book related, which is why I'm here, and or at least why they brought me here. From a faraway dimension of obscurity. And the shows that we produce are Off the Rack, which are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where myself and my 2 cohorts, Ben and Ethan, review a book off the rack from the week prior. We each read the book, and then we give our opinion. And we try to keep it under 10 minutes, because we know you have no time, and we don't have any time. So, we try to make that really bite-sized and easy to digest. The show we come out on Thursdays is called Back Issues, where the 2 guys who I just explained and I talk about either a character or a story arc that I remember or that I read and own. Because the hook is that the 2 guys that I hang out with and who are sharing space with me on the show don't read comics. They never grew up with them. They don't read them now. But they have a fascination with them because they're friends with me, and they kind of don't understand why I like them so much. So we sit down and I kind of explain these stories or characters to them, and then they kind of go like, what? And they ask me questions that we as a community just don't ask because we've kind of drank the Kool-Aid as far as being comic book fans. We don't ask. So there are other the red, orange, yellow, and why? That doesn't make any sense. And we're just because it's cool, because it's the spectrum. And they're
the emotional spectrum.
Yeah, we're it's the emotional spectrum, and we buy it, but they're that doesn't make no. And it actually winds up really inspiring some really terrific conversations, and I find that it helps bring in people who either don't read comics, casually read comics, or love comics, because all sides of that spectrum find something they can enjoy about the show. So that's our show, Back Issues. We also do a video game review show called Bonus Round. Old school gamer meets new school gamer, and then explains and makes the new school gamer play through old games. Before level design, before game theory, it was the Wild West of of games. So that's called Bonus Round. You can check that out. That comes out on a bi-weekly basis. And we also review collectibles on a show called Busted, but that's 2 episodes, and so we're just kind of getting our feet wet with that one. So that's us.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right, so as you guys know, with the Weekly Poll podcast, we have discussions about all kinds of things. And we have all kinds of opinions here. Usually Benny won't let you get a word in edgewise while he's talking or while he has a point to make.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't cut you off.
Dave never talks. You know,
Nope.
we have so
Just
many
sit
different things
here
to
and
go
listen.
on here. But
You gotta
because
find out what your trope is going to be.
I'm
Sal.
just here to be a
Yeah.
pretty face.
but as you guys know, the first part of our weekly pool podcast is the debate that we have when we talk about two characters that go against each other. This week it was Azrael from DC and Spider-Man from Superior Spider-Man, who was the Doctor Octopus Spider-Man from Marvel Comics, and it was actually Sal and Benny this time. It was actually a really cool discussion because I didn't know anything about Azrael, and what I learned is that he pretty much sucks. So, yeah.
Well,
So,
it was really no. See, now you just spoiled it. Though. No,
Yeah.
he doesn't suck. He was amazing. You guys should
Oh,
go
I did
watch
spoil
that.
it. I just it was a really entertaining video, and it was a
battle.
really cool discussion. But keeping with the whole thing, because Sal's our guest and Sal's here, to be on this week's Weekly Pool podcast. We really kind of want to keep this theme going with what he has on his channel and comic book discussions and whatnot. So we're going to talk about the current run of Original Sin, the new update that came out this week, came out yesterday. Of course, we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy coming up. We're going to talk about the new Flash TV show, and then we might do some touching on maybe some past, video games and maybe a really good storyline from the Marvel Comics. All right, now here's my question, because I was thinking about this when Sal was talking about past comic book storylines. The House of M. I know Dave hasn't read the House of M yet.
Oh.
You and
But,
your House of
Dude,
M.
my
man.
subscribers,
House of M and
my
Magic
subscribers have been
Gathering.
screaming at me about the House of M. We want the House of M. By God, if you don't bring us
Are
the
you
House of M,
sure?
we're gonna kill you.
You haven't
Are
even
you sure that
finished
it's not
Civil
one
War,
guy
which
screaming?
they all demanded.
Okay. 11,000
the
people.
Screaming House. I think it's one guy, and Rob's just like, that one guy talks a lot. I better do House of M.
I mean, okay, 11,000 people are not simultaneously screaming House of M, but there is enough demand on my channel for the House of M that I figured it'd make a good discussion. Plus, it was a really good story. So, I mean, if you guys are down, I'm down for talking about the House of M.
Sure.
So, cool.
Right now?
No, not right now. I mean, we'll get to the
I
House
was
of M
gonna say,
later
I thought we were
on.
going to do the Flash TV show.
Yeah, we're going to do the Flash TV show. Of course we're going to do the Flash TV
I've
show.
only prepped for that.
All right, so actually, watching the Flash TV show, it was kind of what I expected to a degree. I mean, I knew that it was a pilot going in, and most pilots aren't of the highest caliber product. I mean, people are really just kind of getting comfortable with the characters they're portraying, and the writers are still kind of hashing out the story, and some of the writers are still hashing out their own writing style. So, it's kind of what I expected. There was a little bit of corniness to it. It was kind of like maybe watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but overall, it wasn't bad. But for the most part, when it comes to the origins of the Flash, I defer to Benny on this because I don't know the origins of the Flash, and in DC, and I would also defer to Sal. So Sal, you're familiar with the Flash? I assume.
I am. I not to the degree that any DC fan is, because I'm more of a Marvel guy, but I read DC back in my day.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar. I know that Barry Allen sacrificed himself to save the multiverse. I know that Wally West took over. I know there have been 5 or 6 Flashes in this within that time. I know that Jeff Johns has a real hard-on for Barry Allen, which is why he's back. And
I won't even deny that. He definitely does have a hard on for Barry Allen.
yeah,
We got 4 of the Flashes, but you know what? Let's revive that one that died in the 80s.
yeah. I want to write for Flash, but I want to write about the one that I like, and not the one that's going on right now. That's why in Justice League Doomed, that really cool movie that DC made, where it was a adaptation of Justice League Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
They got the whole cast from, or more or less the whole cast from the old Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon to do the voices, but they changed Wally West to Barry Allen because Jeff Johns is in charge, and he's like, well, but make it Barry Allen.
Well, here's a problem with that, though. This is my biggest issue with the Jeff Johns changeover in Barry Allen. Barry Allen is almost an anagram of Wally West and Barry Allen at this point.
Yeah.
Because pre-Crisis, Barry Allen was more of a serious character. He had occasional one-liner, but he wasn't anywhere near like he is now. Now he's the jokester of the Justice League. Yeah. He makes the jokes. He makes the jokes in the TV show. He makes the jokes in the New 52. They've pretty much taken what Wally West was and just named him Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And made the original Flash come back.
So now there's no real reason to bring in Wally West, although I think they have. Now he's blue or something.
No. Now Wally West is a 15-year-old black kid.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's
They're
a whole latest
rebooting.
stuff.
They're rebooting
Sounds like
everybody.
it sounds like he's been New 52'd.
Yeah.
He has the New 52. They're like, okay. Side note, real quick. I've been following New 52, and I've got my hard problems with it. And one of the biggest issues I had was they haven't introduced all the characters. So we didn't have Stephanie Brown. We didn't have her back yet, and we didn't. And she's back now. We have spoiler.
Yeah.
But we finally got Wally West, but we didn't get Wally West who we all know. Jokester guy, sometimes red hair, sometimes brown hair, very white guy that we've all come to know and love. And I'm fine with rebooting in a different direction, but the way DC did it was, by the way, here's Wally West. He's also black, and he's 15 now. And you're just kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
that's not really Wally West. You could have named him anybody, but okay.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
He's also angry all the time now. He doesn't crack any jokes.
Oh.
He's angry and hates Barry Allen because Barry Allen is dating his mom or something like that.
Oh.
Sure.
So yeah, so we don't like personality-wise, he's not even the same Wally West. He's literally Wally West in name only,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That sounds. Nah.
He got, as you put it, New 52.
Yeah.
Blue Flash is actually Barry Allen from the future coming back in time to kill off people because he discovered basically we all know the superhero trope. Why do you put them in jail? Just kill them. They're always going to break out.
Right.
Barry Allen, so what we're seeing in the current storyline, has discovered that to be the fact, and in the future, his whole life went to crap, and everyone died because he's been doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's now going back in time, and he's killing off all the villains before they can possibly cause an issue.
Yeah, because Barry Allen going back in time never backfires.
No, never.
Well, all right.
New 52.
Exactly.
So
First instance.
here's my question involving like the Flash TV show. Who the hell was the guy in yellow?
Oh, that's Eobard fucking Thawne, right? Like that's Reverse Flash.
We've got multiple Reverse Flashes, and I'm going to go ahead and say the New 52 Reverse Flash is not Reverse Flash.
Oh.
Okay, if you've seen him, the New 52 Reverse Flash is a guy who's got a monorail train strapped to his body. And he's not even Thorne. He's Iris West's like long lost brother.
Oh.
Totally different character, totally different plot, and they're like, but he's Reverse Flash.
Right, but now he's Reverse Flash. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the plot with Barry Allen, this is what I loved about that TV show. The actual plot that they've always, the whole core of Barry Allen is his mother dies, and it's an unsolved mystery. It always has been. They've never really gone into it. His father goes to jail to take the blame for it. That is the plot of Barry Allen. Okay. Now, what happens with Barry Allen is he then grows up, joins the CSI because he wants to solve unsolved mysteries and figure out what happened to his mom. As being in the lab one night, late night, he was there working late. He's standing next to a counter of chemicals, and a bolt of lightning comes through, hits the chemicals, explodes them, they spill all over him, and he gets the powers of the Flash.
Right.
So the whole core plot of the Flash is the fact that because of his mother's death, he's in the right place and the right time to become the Flash.
Right.
Now, Reverse Flash, I don't know, you want to take, because you seem to know also, Sal, do you know Reverse Flash's history?
The history, as far as I recall, is that the Reverse Flash is from the future.
Yes.
And he is a result of Barry Allen becoming the Flash, which is to say that, like, without Barry Allen becoming the Flash, there is no Reverse Flash. I don't know necessarily what the connection, like, it's...
Basically...
Is it the lightning bolt, or is it, like, some kind of...
I'm not sure where he got his powers. I think it was just an experiment, because he's like 25th century. It's like crazy far in the future. I think he just gave himself to him. And his goal was to be... He always idolizes the Flash, and that's what gives him the idea to become Reverse Flash. That's where his problem comes in. If there is no Flash, he never gets the idea to become Reverse Flash. And I don't exactly know the full story, because it happened like way, way, way back in the day when it first happened.
Yeah.
But for whatever the reason, he goes back in time to make Flash suffer.
Right.
He's got a problem with the Flash, and I don't fully know why.
But his hook is he can never kill the Flash, because if he does, then the Flash will never inspire him to become Reverse Flash.
Exactly. So it's always a thing, which is why in the Flashpoint event, Reverse Flash gets removed from the timeline and is finally free to kill the Flash.
Exactly.
Only to be killed by Thomas Wayne. But so the character in the movie, now what ends up happening, and this is what we finally discovered in Flashpoint, the full story of Barry Allen's mother's death.
Yeah.
Reverse Flash goes back in time, and he thinks the best way he can get the Flash is by killing the Flash's mother. But as we discover is Reverse Flash goes back in time, Flash chases him back in time, and then in order to stop Reverse Flash, he like misses and kills his own mother. And I think they're going with that plot because in the TV show we have the yellow blur and we have a very prominent red blur following it. So Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're going to go with that. But what it comes down to is his mother can't survive. He can't save her. Because if he does, nothing happens the way it's supposed to. And that's actually how the Flashpoint event happens.
Yeah.
He goes back, he changes that, and it changes so many things just from his mother living.
Right.
Huh. Now, see, that's interesting to me, because, like, in the past, we've talked about time travel in comic books, and how, like, more often than not, time travel is used as just kind of like, oh my god, we've written ourselves up against the wall, let's just send this guy back in time and fix the problem. Like, you know, Age of Ultron kind of thing. So, but that's really... Yeah, like that's really kind of cool to me that the Flash is in effect like the cause of his own future. Like he's the reason why he exists. And to me, like that's really kind of interesting, because when I was watching the trailer and they had that, you know, whole scene going on and the blurs and all that kind of stuff, like when I saw the red blur, I knew right off the bat, okay, that's obviously Flash. So the question was like, who's the yellow guy? And I figured that there was, because I remember you talking before when you talked about like the whole Flashpoint series and the Flash jumping back in time and all that kind of stuff. And I said, okay, well, this is probably what's going on here. I really wasn't sure how to make the connection between, like, you know, the whole Flash and whoever the yellow guy was, and then, you know, his mom. But to me, it made sense that most likely the Flash, for some reason, had a hand in it, or just wasn't able to stop the guy from killing his mom, and it resulted in, like, the Flash becoming who he was. But
well, the whole thing with Reverse Flash is he always tries to do things that will mess with the Flash.
yeah,
Right.
And so, but he can only do things that are already supposed to happen. So I don't fully know exactly what was happening, but he was back in time to basically kill his mom in like the most painful way possible. He knew she was going to die anyway, but he wanted to make it like really painful, and the Flash would know he did it. That kind of a thing.
okay.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of fucked up, you know. I mean,
Right.
that would be a really like crappy thing to be a villain like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
oh
your motivation.
man, like this is supposed to happen. I guess I have to go do this now.
Well, what ends up happening is he goes back in time the first time for the Flashpoint event, and he like kills Reverse Flash by mistake. So Reverse Flash doesn't kill his mom, and that's what sets things off in the bad motion. So when he goes back in time, he has to stop himself from stopping Thorn and watch his mom get killed by Thorn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know
So,
that they're gonna. Oh god.
but no, you were saying so.
I was gonna say, you know, they're gonna do an episode where, like, there was some suppressed evidence that showed that like Barry Allen's fingerprints were like at the scene of the murder of his mom.
They're gonna have to. I guarantee they're gonna build up for exactly what we just said, or something very similar.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see if they're gonna go that full thing, because jumping through the whole episode, and we'll come back to more stuff in the episode, but you guys saw basically the whole season prep ending, right?
Yep.
So my question is, Mr. I'm pretending to be in a wheelchair. By the way, for the record, if you haven't watched this episode, this probably isn't the podcast to listen to. I'm just
After we spoiled like so much of what's probably going to happen, like spoiler alert.
We went back in time and we watched the show. So
we're going through with a scalpel on this episode. So
Well, I mean, it's fun for me because I don't read DC, so like this is all new to me. So it's really fascinating. Like it's really
and just like when we discussed Age of Ultron, we may be way off. They might do this totally different direction with this whole thing.
yeah.
So, but if you go to the ending, I'm curious, and Sal, since you know a little more about this, do you think he's Reverse Flash, or do you think he's searching something else?
do I think that the wheelchair guy's Reverse Flash?
Yeah, the guy who played like Ed or something way back in the day. I don't remember who he played.
I think. I mean,
he looks intelligent. He could be.
Yeah, I feel like it's a CW show, so they naturally assume that we're all morons. I feel like they think that it's enough for Thawne, the new guy on the Force, who is Iris's boyfriend, is Reverse Flash. He went back in time, he killed the mom, and then he's integrated himself into Barry Allen's life, working at his job, banging his future wife, and that'll be enough, I think, for them to go like, yeah, that's Reverse Flash. Now, I don't know what they're doing with Wheelchair Guy, or if he's like a future version of him. I don't know.
It's weird because he has the paper from the future that basically says, and here's what I flipped out about.
Hold on. I'm sorry, I got to stop you. We need to back up.
To what?
All right, the new cop on the Force is the future. I'm confused.
Okay.
I'm confused as hell.
The new cop on the Force is
Reverse
the current
Flash.
negative
the character
Flash.
name for Reverse Flash.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Reverse Flash.
I mean, bear in mind.
I'm
Then
so
the guy in the
confused right
wheelchair
now.
Arrow.
might be the same person from the future.
Oh
But
my
hold on, they
god.
might be pulling the same crap they did from Arrow. If you remember the first season of Arrow, Deathstroke and Slade were different people.
Oh.
Until Slade put on the mask and you're like, oh, he's Deathstroke! You know?
I saw the first 3 episodes of Arrow.
Oh, well, the whole first season of Arrow, you find out that Slade is a part of, like, he's a buddies with another mercenary. And they both wear the mask. So technically, Deathstroke is this other guy.
Gotcha.
So Slade is the friend to Arrow the whole first season.
Okay.
And then in the second season, he puts the mask on to get revenge against Arrow.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's why I'm kind of wondering if we're going to retread the same thing. What if Thawne becomes like his buddy? Like, this is finally what Thawne wants. Because I do remember originally he went back in time because he wanted to be like friends with Flash or something like that. That's why he went back. And Flash did something to piss him off. I don't remember what.
Right.
See, that's crazy to me. So Thawne goes back in time, kills his mom, and then reintegrates himself once he's more or less like a young adult as a member of the police force. That's crazy.
Well, Thawne never. He
I mean,
never
it
does
makes
go
for a
back.
really good story,
No.
but you know.
He never does go back home. The whole time he's back at the past of Barry Allen and all them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like Booster Gold. You know, Booster Gold goes back in time for his own like prosperity and fame. Thawne goes back in time to do something with the Flash, ends up being pissed, and he just stays there to fuck with the Flash.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then every time they catch him, they always put him in like this giant contraption, turn him upside down, and like.
Wow. Well, see, that would make for a really good plot element because then, like, so I assume that Barry Allen. I mean, obviously Barry Allen doesn't know what's going on at the moment. Like, all he knows is that there's just some guy who's banging the chick that he wants to bang, and he's just kind of upset about it. And wow, okay, see, that's really cool to me. Like, that would make because you could build so much out of that. Like, you could just really kind of because. Obviously, you know, with people who read DC, like, you guys are aware of who this guy is and what he's going to be, or what he already is, and you know where he comes from. So it would create for great storytelling because now you can watch that on bated breath and see where they're going to take it. Are they going to follow the comic book storyline? And people like me who don't know and who are like totally surprised by like, wow, you know, what's going on here? Like, you could follow it and be just as anxious as everybody else. So that's.
I just got a premonition. I know the whole first season.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
geez.
Here's the whole first season.
Here it is. Spoilers.
Thawne, but not, it is, I figured the whole thing out already. Thawne is going to teach Barry Allen how to use his powers properly. He's going to be his mentor all the way up until the end when Barry Allen's going to find out that Thawne killed his mom.
Yeah.
And then we're going to find out he had to make Barry Allen the Flash, and he wanted to be his mentor and be his friend.
Right.
I don't
And
know,
it's
man.
going to be that relationship.
That sounds kind of predictable. But then again, like with these shows, like they don't
It's
shy
set
away
up
from
perfectly
predictability.
for that right now.
Yeah.
It is.
I feel like that. I mean, like, look, that's. Yeah, that sounds about right.
By episode 3 or 4, we're gonna find out that he's also got speed powers. You know, and by episode 6 or 7, the two of them are gonna be working together. And I feel by the mid-season finale, he's gonna be his mentor, but we're gonna start seeing a twisted side to Thawne. You know,
I don't know. I mean,
that's my pre-tell.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean, you know, like, I mean, that's one of the things that I'm kind of disappointed about when it comes to comic book TV shows is they don't shy away from predictability.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get 3 episodes in, you're like, okay, I know how this is going to end, but let's just see if I'm right, you know, and then you just kind of follow along to see if you were actually right. Like, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, it's like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, you know, everybody was going to know, or at least I kind of figured for the most part, that as soon as Bill Paxton showed up, that he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way he's a good guy. Yeah, I mean, I looked at him because Bill
I was
Paxton.
hopeful
bad
for
guy
him
in
to.
comics.
Yeah, he is. But even then, like, you know, anybody who sat down and watched that, like, right off the bat, you get bad guy vibes from his character. Like, I mean, you know, you're like, something's going on
Yeah,
here.
I
This
guess.
guy's not what he seems. But nonetheless, I mean, it's interesting, you know, with that kind of thing. But this is where I hope that the storytelling of The Flash will become something better. Because, you know, sitting down and watching some of these TV shows, they're not wildly good.
We had the same problem with Arrow, and we had the same problem with Smallville.
Yeah.
Arrow introduced Slade as Arrow's friend and mentor. That's how they introduced the whole first season is his friend and mentor. But us comic book fans know Slade is not going to stay in that role.
No,
So
exactly.
eventually the mask is going on and they're going to town.
Yeah.
And the same problem happened with Smallville. They tried to portray this Clark Kent Lex Luthor friendship.
Yeah.
And we knew season 1, even if it took all 10 seasons,
Yeah.
this was going to end with they're going at it.
The funny thing is, like, even the layman who's watching the show, who doesn't know anything about Superman, knows that Lex Luthor is going to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
At least the Arrows Wilson thing, if you're not a comic book fan, you could have been like, oh, cool, oh my god, what a twist!
Yeah.
You're right, you're 100% right. Even people who just know nothing of Superman would have been like, isn't Lex Luthor the bad guy?
Yeah, isn't he the bad- in fact, they actually would be more confused. I remember being, like, not being confused, but I remember having to explain to people. I was like, look, I'm not watching Smallville, but I can assure you Lex Luthor is a bad guy. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's where this is going.
trust me, he'll be a bad guy. Like,
I didn't do much watching of Smallville when I was a kid,
mhm,
because that's when it was running.
yeah.
But the thing is wasn't Lex Luthor doing bad things behind Superman's back and
Well,
Clark Kent's
the way
back
they
the whole
portrayed it-
time?
Well, no, they portrayed it not that he was doing bad things, but that since he knew there was a secret Clark was hiding, he was doing a lot of shady things to figure it all out.
Right.
Yeah.
He knew about the secret. Clark wouldn't tell him for like the first 4 freaking seasons. And so and it would always turn out that his dad was doing the evil stuff and Lex was doing the shady stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it always turned into. Now, back to our topic on here, where I was going before you were asking about the Thawne thing, and this is what I wanted to ask you, Sal.
Oh, okay.
At the ending of the thing, on the paper, we see Flash disappeared in a crisis. They state crisis. Are we actually going to lead to an infinite crisis? Like, are we going to go
with the TV shows?
No. The plot for the Flash is he dies in the crisis.
Yeah.
Now, the crisis. Here's the problem, though. The crisis involves every DC superhero,
Yeah.
which doesn't exist in the Flash. So.
Right. Well, we don't know, because on that same paper, we did see Wayne Tech merged with some other company.
Oh, I didn't see that. Don't pull the episode.
Oh, and then they've got
Yeah.
the Gotham show coming out.
Well, Gotham's on Fox, so I don't know how much...
Yeah, but I would think that, I don't know, that's another thing, because, I mean, the way
I wonder
Fox
if they're
works
gonna
with
do it
Disney and, everybody...
Yeah, actually, what was it? Wayne Tech merges with Queen Industries in that future. Like, on that paper.
I'm going to the page right now.
Well, see, that's
Maybe
interesting.
they're gonna make Oliver Queen Batman eventually.
Well, no, that's the problem everyone has with the Green Arrow is that's what they did. They basically made him Batman. And then season 2, he gets more towards being Green Arrow instead of just being Batman with a hoodie.
Yeah, Batman with makeup.
Yeah. You're right. Wayne Tech, Queen Incorporated, merger complete. Red Skies vanish. The Flash missing vanishes in crisis. April
Now, the
25th.
Red Skies could be a allusion to the Sun story when Parallax / Green Lantern takes out the Sun.
So what you're saying, I didn't even catch. I only saw the top line there. We're basically hinting at 3 possible major storylines in DC.
Yeah.
They got a lot more shows to do.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get to any of those, but
Well, also keep in mind, like, Warner Brothers is doing Batman versus Superman.
yes, and
So
it's going to guest star with Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Aquaman, so
Hey,
I mean-
you know what's funny though is that was supposed to be Man of Steel 2, and now that's turned into the prequel to Justice League, and now we
Yeah.
have an actual Man of Steel 2 scheduled.
Oh,
Yeah.
They
really?
actually scheduled. Yeah, no, they actually scheduled Man of Steel 2 finally. They're like, no, you know what? Forget
Well,
trying to
fine.
make this.
Here's the thing, though, like, if they're gonna manage to merge those 2 franchises, they've got a lot of work to do too.
Yeah.
Like the TV franchises and the film franchises, because they've even come out and said they're not gonna do that.
Well, that's just interesting because they said one of the movies on the docket is a Green Lantern Flash combo movie.
I think that what
so-
that is,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you, but I think that,
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion, on that one is they're building the hype for Flash right now. Green Lantern had his name tarnished.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they're going to try and backdoor bring back Green Lantern in that manner. That's,
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But my question is, are they going to do that guy? Like, is it going to be Grant Gustin as the Flash? And they're going to move him into the movies?
I don't think so.
I don't
they
think so
have to.
either.
They should. I know they're not going
They
to.
should.
Because
Of course they would.
it looks like the CW universe is its own separate universe from everything else. They could kick Marvel's butt if they would just follow Marvel's train.
Yeah.
If we had multiple shows about actual superheroes and then multiple movies about the same group of universe, that would be incredible. And they have to stop trying to wing it and go, Man of Steel 2, no, we'll do that later. Let's just make this Justice League. We can get that out in 2 years, right?
The DC approach to movies is like the DC approach to comics, as far as I'm concerned. It's just like, well, does this work? Like, how many movies is David Goyer? How many DC movies is David Goyer directly attached to? Because he's been attached to the 3 Batman movies that don't matter anymore. He's attached to Man of Steel. He's attached to Man of Steel 2. He's doing the Batman Superman movie. He's going to be a creative consultant on the Justice League movie and the Wonder Woman movie. Like, the guy who wrote Blade 2 is a major writer for those movies. And Christopher Nolan's the producer on those movies. And it's like, it's just DC going like, well, what worked? Like, this guy worked. Let's put him in charge of this, even though it's completely unconnected. Like,
But that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
You could easily use the Nolan verse.
oh,
You
yeah.
could have easily taken Christian Bale's Batman and just said this takes place between movies 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Between these two, he met up with Superman and the Justice League started up.
Right. I heard they offered Bale a obscene amount of money
Really?
To come back.
to come back, and he still said no.
Wow. I mean, I don't blame him though. I mean, if I were Christian Bale, I'd walk away
Well-
while the getting was good.
Yeah, because he's just going to become Batman.
Exactly.
And he's not going to be an actor that's going to be able to get roles anywhere else and not be seen as Bruce Wayne or Batman.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
I want to see a new Batman. I'm ready. I'm ready for a different
And
Batman.
I
From what
remember,
I've seen on Ben Affleck, he doesn't look that bad as I
The
originally
suit looks
thought.
sweet.
Yeah.
I'm
That
happy
suit
with
looks
the
pretty
suit.
amazing.
He's growing out the beard now, so he kind of looks separate. He's got longer hair, so he doesn't really look like. He doesn't really look so much like any Batman we know, but at the same time, he doesn't look like Ben Affleck, which
No, that's
I'm
true.
okay with.
I'm excited
have you
to
not
see
read
what he
Long
does.
Halloween, Benny? He
What?
looks like Long Halloween Batman.
No, his hair is longer than that, I'd say.
I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Last week we touched on this, Sal, and
Yeah.
and
Well,
now that
hold
we're
on, we're going away from the show.
we're going
Material.
we are sidestepping away from the show for a second for like the 23rd
Okay,
time.
okay.
So-
So I thought we were moving topics. I'm like, there's
No,
so
no,
much
no,
to
no,
cover.
no. I just last week we talked about like Ben Affleck as Batman and what we thought, and how likely he would be as a successful Batman.
Yeah.
So I want to see what you think. What do you think about that, Sal? Like, what do you think? Like, how do you think Ben Affleck will do as Batman?
I think Ben Affleck will do a fine job. I don't think that Ben Affleck would do a textbook awesome job, but like I've always maintained that if Ben Affleck has the right source material, the dude can pull it off. He pulled off Argo. I feel like every role that he's played in a Kevin Smith movie has been great. And that may be heresy, but like I feel like the dude really like when he finds a cadence, he can really sell himself as an actor. Now, the thing about Ben Affleck as far as acting is concerned is when he smiles, he becomes Ben Affleck. He's got that Ben Affleck smile.
Oh,
Just looks
yeah,
like he's
that's
screwing around. With Batman, he never will. So it will really work out, I think.
Unless he's the first smiling Batman.
I mean, unless he
Hey,
may
Clark
smile
Kent.
as Bruce Wayne, and that I buy Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. Like I could totally see him being like, "Hey there, Clark."
There are a couple times when he laughs at the Joker's joke just to trip the Joker up, though.
Yeah, I would see that.
Like,
I would buy that.
especially if you've seen the Batman Forever movie, or not the Batman Forever movie. That was terrible. The Batman that's in the future.
Oh, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
Yeah,
That was a great movie.
where
tight.
like the new Batman goes up in the rafters and starts just like laughing at him back and forth from all over the place as he zip lines across. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, Batman
scene-
Battling the Joker. That was tight. I
Yeah.
really like. I love the Batman the Animated Series universe. I love everything they do with that.
Oh God, man,
With
Mark
the notable
Hamill's Joker.
exception, there's one dud, and it's Batman: Mystery of the Batwoman. The direct-to-DVD was the first.
Yeah.
It was the first direct-to-VHS animated movie after Batman Sub-Zero, and it was so freaking bad. Like the voice acting, they got Kelly Ripa to play Batwoman, and they fired the guy who originally played Penguin, and it was just, let's not even get into it. But it's so bad. But it's the only like mar on that whole saga for me.
Well, I mean, we really kind of agreed on the same thing. Like we talked about Ben Affleck and some of the roles that he's been in. Like Ben Affleck in The Town was amazing. Like that's one of the best performances he's ever done. And it was actually like Dave had mentioned that did you say it was the director's cut or the unrated cut of Daredevil?
I like the director's cut.
It's the director's cut.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, he did a good job in that. It's just there was writing problems, there was plot problems.
Yeah.
You know, it was a Fox Marvel movie.
Yeah. Did
way
you know?
back.
Do you remember when Daredevil came out? Like what their release day was?
Uh-uh.
No.
It was Valentine's Day.
Really?
What?
Why?
I don't know. I
Why
don't know.
would have they done that?
Well, because
Right?
Daredevil's red and Valentine's Day is red, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Naturally,
That's the ultimate
Perfect
date
date
movie.
movie.
yeah. Naturally, I took my then girlfriend to see. I was like, "Well, we got to go see Daredevil now. I'm sorry, Valentine's Day ruined this year, so let's go." She
Wow.
was like, "What the?" She's like, "Thanks for that." I was like, "Yeah."
Is there a reason why that's the then girlfriend?
Oh yeah. It's pretty much. I can pretty much blame Daredevil for all our relationship issues.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can blame Daredevil for a lot of things.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel I think Affleck will do a fine job. Like I don't think that I'm not one going into the theater going like, oh, this is no. Like I look. Ben Affleck is the least of my complaints with the new DC direction of the movies. Like Man of Steel for me was a calamity. So I really can't. I'm not one.
Oh, I don't know about that, man. I mean, I was with you. I was with you up to that. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Was
I'm sorry. It's
DC's
just,
kind of meh, but I thought Man of Steel was pretty good.
Man of Steel, in my opinion, did a great job of the new 52 Superman.
yeah.
It took him. But I mean, if you're looking for the 75th anniversary, red on the outside, underwear on the visible Superman, Boy Scout, I'm not going to kill anyone. No, that's not the Superman we got.
I was looking for Superman, and I got.
You were looking for the one you know, Christopher Reeve Superman. You were not looking for New
not
52
even
emo
Reeve.
Superman.
The Superman,
Because he's totally emo in the New 52.
I never, like those movies are cool. Those movies are sweet, but I was never really like, ooh, like this is great. Like I tried watching the first Superman a while ago. Like I've seen it 1,000 times, but I tried showing some people Superman 1 the other day, and we were just like, let's take a break. Like,
it wouldn't work with
so
today's
hard.
audience.
Yeah, and like the leaps and decisions that they made with that, like, yeah, like I'm not a
You know,
purist.
kisses can wipe out memories?
Yeah, exactly. And you can spin around the earth and reverse time, and if Superman could grab his S and create a cellophane net, and like, there's all kinds of.
Superman can do anything.
Yeah, so basically Superman can do anything. I'm not a purist when it comes to Superman movies, but me and Bryan Singer are the only guys who liked Superman Returns. I really liked Superman Returns.
I didn't
there-
like that.
Oh my god!
I have a lot of
Sal.
issues with it.
I
Like
felt the pacing was way off, way too slow.
I wish that there was no kid in it, but
Yeah.
but like I
The
feel like the
child
tone, the tone, the acting, and the direction and the set, like everything looked so great. Like the CG was great, the practical effects were terrific, the casting was right on target. It was just like
The story. The story was just.
it was just the
I'll
story.
agree. Everything about it felt great.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that Superman is now a stalker and has an illegitimate child. And
Yeah, yeah, and like Lex Luthor, another real estate scheme that's going to destroy the eastern seaboard. Like, okay, like as long as Darkseid's in the next one, I don't care. Like, because that's really like that's what you do. Like you do
that's what they
Darkseid.
have to do for Batman versus Superman. Practically every reason that the Justice League comes together and goes, we're a team now.
Yeah, my prediction, by the way, Batman Superman. I think it's going to be Brainiac, or not Brainiac, Metallo. I think it's going to be Metallo.
You think Metallo?
Yeah, I think
See, it's
Metallo's
Batman
going to be
versus
like.
Superman, but I'm wondering if it's going to play out like every other Batman versus Superman story. Slugfest for about 20 seconds, and then they're like, oh, now we're friends.
I know that it's going to deal with one of the issues I had with Man of Steel, which is like the fallout of Superman not saving anybody or caring about people and destroying half Metropolis. So I know that like that's going to be a big plot point for the new Batman Superman movie. Like Batman's going to be like, you didn't help anybody. Like you half your city was destroyed and everyone thought you were a savior, but like thousands of people died in Metropolis when you fought that guy. Like, why didn't you take him to the moon and fight there? Like, what is wrong with you?
Maybe somewhere nowhere near a popular Nevada. Go to Nevada.
Yeah,
we
go
can
to
listen to
Nevada.
trailers.
Like, I mean, I know that like destruction porn is kind of like what people are interested in movies now. Like,
Just watch a Transformers movie.
Well, this is my perspective on Man of Steel in the movie, and I read some Superman right after I got into Batman when I first got into comics, and yeah, he is kind of like the goody-goody once he's in the role of Superman.
yeah,
But he's really rough and green in Man of Steel. Like, he pretty much gets tossed into being Superman in the matter
That's
of
true.
what, like 2 weeks?
yeah.
Like, he's
And
not going to
that's
know
kinda-
what to
That's
do.
the new 52 Superman. That's pretty much how it picks up. Yeah, there's the whole Action Comics setup, but almost immediately he's fighting big baddies with his powers and not knowing how to use them. That's how it all starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Sal, I can appreciate that you like Superman Returns,
Right.
but
That's fair.
I think that we need to go
I
ahead
can appreciate you like it for the reasons you like it.
yeah. I can appreciate you enjoy it, but I think I need to go on record in saying that you are no longer welcome on this podcast for. No, Superman Returns was not a bad movie. I thought that Kevin Spacey was an amazing Lex Luthor. He was charismatic. He was interesting. He was funny. You know, I know that Lex Luthor by nature in the comics is much darker than the way he was portrayed by Kevin Spacey, but
Yeah.
I thought that Kevin Spacey was not a bad Lex Luthor. But
No, I think he took it. I think Spacey did a good job of taking the zaniness that Gene Hackman used and making it darker, like legitimizing it. I think that Spacey infused a good darkness into that character.
yeah.
Yeah, I liked Kate Bosworth as Lois Lane though. Me and I think Kate Bosworth were the only ones who thought that was that was a good casting choice. But I really liked her.
I didn't care for her too much. I know that like Lois Lane in the comics, at least the way she's traditionally played, is just kind of like this helpless damsel in distress, you know, and Superman's always kind of rescuing her, and that's kind of, you know, that's very 1950s ish, you know, and
Yeah, that's
1940s
not
or
gonna fly
30s.
in
No, I would
Yeah,
much rather
it's not going to
either.
fly now, but you know, but overall, the movie, the movie was just long and slow. The movie should have ended about 45 minutes before it did.
Oh, I told you,
You know,
pacing.
it was just
the
yeah.
pacing on Superman Returns is what bothered me.
Pacing,
Yeah.
the plot,
Do
the
we
story.
need a 10-minute scene of Superman stalking by floating out the window? Like,
Yeah, you know,
What,
and
what we really need is good writers. Like, that was
have them
comic
borrow
book
the guys from Marvel
movies
for a minute.
plague way back in the day. Was nobody knew how to write a comic book movie. Like
Yeah.
like I was talking before we started the podcast about how I saw that video of man, I am not good with names.
just stare blankly into the
Batman
camera,
Beyond
Dave. It'll come to you.
Kevin Smith
Oh yeah.
talking
okay,
about
yeah, yeah.
Superman.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how he went through that nightmarish experience of
Yeah.
working with that producer
Oh, John.
on writing his script. I don't know how that could have
you-
flown.
Have you
It's-
read that script?
I didn't
No,
even know it
I
I've
existed.
only
haven't
read
read
the
the
Kevin Smith
script.
story.
I
It is-
literally just watched that video yesterday for the first time ever.
It is kind of fun.
Really,
If that came out in 1996, we would love that movie.
really.
Trust me. Because 1996, we had The Mask, we had Phantom, we had,
Yeah.
like, we had nothing really to hang our hat on as far as comic book movies were concerned that, like, paid homage to those movies. We had Batman and Robin. Like, Superman's, Kevin Smith's Superman Lives script was dumb, but it knew what it was talking about. There's a
Yeah.
scene where they have Superman's funeral in Metropolis, and like Batman's in it. Like Smith threw so many cameos in that movie without diminishing the characters, like without making it like they're putting Wonder Woman in the new Batman Superman movie. Why? Like, who has time for that? You have to introduce a new Batman, you have to reestablish Superman, and you have to have them fight something. And you're gonna try and work Wonder Woman in there somewhere?
See,
Like,
I can see that though, simply because that's typically how things always start: Batman, Superman,
Yes.
Wonder Woman. But what I want to know is why Cyborg?
well, yeah.
If you're gonna cram Wonder Woman in there, at least that can somewhat make sense because that's typically how it goes down.
Yeah.
But Cyborg?
I feel like Cyborg is one of the most shoehorned characters in the DC lineup.
Oh no, he is. It's like they keep basically going, he's cool. We can make him cool. And every time they put him in a book, I just read the newest Justice League, and the Justice League is going around trying to find the power ring. And where's Cyborg? Up in the Watchtower, watching the monitors.
Yeah, he's Bumblebee. He's guarding the base. Like, it's no.
And then they have a comical scene with him and Shazam. And Shazam, he's like, Shazam, use your magic to find the power ring. And Shazam's like, give me the one thing I want. And boom, a ping pong table shows up, and he's like, all right.
Well, we might as well
since
play
it's
it.
here.
Yeah, since we're both totally lame, we might as well just completely waste page space. I like that issue though.
I did too, yeah.
Mostly for the Batman Lex Luthor conversation, but
yeah, that was funny. He's like, I know you're Batman. No, you don't know I'm Batman. Now leave.
Yeah, get out of here. You know what it is? I always love seeing Alfred with a gun, like defending the house. I think the first time I saw that was Batman Predator, when like Alfred blows the Predator away with an elephant gun. I was like, this is Alfred's cool. Like,
I need to read that comic.
Now we've got we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's go back to the Flash TV show
Flash
where
TV
all of this started. So
Flash
the whole
TV
part of that discussion was, would we want to see Grant? What's his name? Grant? Something. I would love to see him as the Flash. He might not be the movie star guy we need, but if you shoehorn him into a movie with other heroes, that could completely work. And if you could tie these universes together, that'd be amazing.
Oh, he's not the character. He's not the actor that we deserve, but he's the actor we need right now. Yeah. He would really.
Well, you know what's cool about him though is Arrow. When they casted Arrow, they got this like bodybuilder, like gay porn guy. Yeah, like he was in some kind of porn before this. He was. He's like ripped as he's some form of porn. My wife was telling me that the other day. She's like, "Did you know he was in porn?" I'm like, no, but I would totally watch a Green Arrow porn. But they got this guy. They got scrawnier. He's not really. He's toned like a superhero would be. Yeah. But they could have very easily messed this up and just well, superheroes have muscles.
Well, he could look like the old Flash, the guy who plays his dad, where he had like a bodysuit and it was all like muscular. Like
the funny part was that suit had the muscles, not the old guy.
No, it's true. Yeah. No, I like it. I would see a Green Lantern Flash movie with him in it. I'd be totally fine with that.
Well, all right. I know you guys want to keep talking about Flash, but I think we've been going on the Flash for about 20, 25 minutes.
Well, I do want to ask one last thing before we move on with it. Okay? Because you've read the New 52, Sal, and you know the Flash and the history of him. Yeah. So you know that the Rogues Gallery with the Flash has always been dudes with gadgets that just suck at doing it. That's the funny part about them. Yeah. The New 52 reinvented all of the Rogues. They all put their guns and stuff into that machine and got actual powers. Right. Now, the new Flash, and this is what I want to ask you about because it's my only real complaint, they're playing off of the concept of everything is caused by this one event. Right. The Flash got his powers because of it, and Weather Wizard got his powers from it. He's not using a gadget, he got powers from it. Yeah. How do you feel about them just jumping to everyone's a metahuman due to one event?
If they do it right, if it's well written and it looks cool, I'm fine. Like the how doesn't really matter to me so much, except for the fact that they were like, look at this map. It's almost as though they've made exactly as many villains as they have days that we come out with a show. As though there is a villain of the week, if you will. So, I mean, in that regard, it's kind of like, all right, like you're doing that. You're doing because didn't that do with that with Smallville? Like
Smallville did that for like 3 seasons. It was just the villain of the week.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't the cause of it like kryptonite?
Yeah, for everyone.
Yeah,
and so it was always like oh, this person just conveniently got their powers 5 years after everyone else, so we can just keep doing this.
I think it's kind of lame. Like I think it's lazy, but as long as they do it cool, I don't care. Like I'm not a purist when it comes to that kind of thing. I kind of would. I was actually really surprised by the way they used Weather Wizard. I was like, is that Weather Wizard? Yeah. Cool, I guess.
And then the other question I have, and this is because my fans asked this one. Well, the viewers watched it. I call them fans. I always feel weird.
They're fans.
Viewers. But they were asking. They didn't like it because they feel like the setup was too convenient.
Oh, it's really.
It was like he's got his powers. Oh, and conveniently we were making this suit that is all red and looks exactly like the Flash. Oh, and conveniently I'm making this thing that will regulate your body, but it's a lightning bolt. You know,
because we thought it'd be cool. Yeah. No, there's a lot of contrivances in that, but that's because I think that the guys who were making the show were like, we don't have time to like have him prepare. Like, we gotta just no. Next episode, he has to be the Flash. He has to be freaking fighting guys. Like,
I think they just didn't want to fall into the Arrow where it was a whole season before he got the mask, or Smallville where it was 10 seasons before he got the cape.
Yeah, because they're definitely paying attention. Because as we were talking about off the record, Warner Brothers released that pilot early.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Our current opinion is that it wasn't yanked down so early. It's still up. You can go download it right now.
Yeah, go download it exactly where they put it.
Yeah.
And
it hasn't been, like, taken down or strikes been put out or anything.
Leaked. Like, no. It's totally them.
Yeah.
But they're tracking I know that they're definitely looking at, like, the positive feedback from people watching Arrow. And people being like, I like Arrow when he's a superhero and he has a mask on and he's fighting Deathstroke and he's got like all these other, like, I like all these cameos, you know. They're like, okay, cool, we can do that. Like, we can get to that faster. So,
I mean, they played on that to a degree because they sent him to meet Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Like, he went to meet him and he was like, you know, why would you come to me for help, you know, to like, because you can inspire people where I can't and so on and so forth. You know, I mean.
Well, they played on that because initially the whole concept of Barry Allen, which I think was a really crappy backdoor pilot because they didn't actually show anything other than he got hit with lightning. But Barry Allen was in 3 episodes of Arrow season 2.
Yeah.
And he learned the Arrow, he learned his identity, he learned all this crap, and then he gets hit with the lightning, goes into a coma, and he's supposed to wake up in the pilot of this. Yep. Now, they rewrote it a little so that the lightning wasn't in Arrow City, and it was actually due to this particle accelerator thing.
Yeah.
But that's why they do supposedly already know each other. They already know each other's histories and their secrets and all that other crap. They just skipped all this who's who and we're evil thing.
Yeah.
Like typical, you know, superheroes. Oh, cameo. Oh, no. Who are you? We're going to fight. Oh, no. We're on the same side.
No, they
just skipped all
they
that.
saved us that. That was I like that. I feel like that's where the pilot should ended.
Showed up with that.
Is when, like, Arrow goes cool, and then they end it. Like, I feel like that's where they kind of could have ended the pilot, but they were like, no, let's keep it going. Keep it going for another 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that they decided to go with, instead of doing the basically thing we're all used to seeing, which is the cop is friends with the secret identity but doesn't know the superhero, they just threw that right out the window.
Yeah, they're like, no.
Barry Allen, keep that hood off. He's going to see who you are.
Yeah, but they did preserve the leave my child out of it, like, which
that one.
You know, he won't. And by the way, just really quick, Candace Patton as Iris, she's horrible.
Oh yeah, I also had to double check too, because Iris, and I'm all for recasting and getting more minorities into everything, because especially since comic books were basically started in a day and age when it was all about whites and blondes, and I'm all for mixing things up and changing it around now that we think more things are accepted.
Who is Iris?
She's his girlfriend. She's like the notorious girlfriend, and she's always been like this blonde or brown, like white girl. Like she's always been like the high school sweetheart kind of a thing. Like, and they're changing everything around, just like the Wally West thing. Although this all lines into the New 52 West family.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So
well,
I don't know.
That was something that I kind of picked up on when I was watching it. They kept talking about the West, and that's why I asked the question. That's why I sent you a message. I was like, "Are we going to see like Wally West?" Because I mean, I know Wally West is probably the most popular form of the Flash character. Like more people know Flash as Wally West than Barry Allen, and people who do know who Barry Allen is know him because of the fact that he was, I guess, the first like mainstream Flash, or like the first Flash. I'm not really sure how all that works.
He's the first.
He's the second
Barry Allen
Flash,
is the Silver Age Flash. He's the one that first wore the costume you all know.
He's not the Golden Age Flash character.
No, Golden Age is Jay Garrick. He's the one with that helmet.
Yeah.
With the things on the side. And then the reason why everyone knows Wally West, though, is when comic books, the TV shows, and all that stuff started really picking up steam and stopped being we're a bunch of nerds in our basements reading this stuff. It started being more about, some cool stuff on TV. It was Wally West who was the Flash at the time.
Okay.
That's why he picked up steam. It wasn't so much that no one knows who Barry Allen was. It's just that Barry Allen was dead at that time. So he wasn't popping up anywhere. No one was talking about him. It's just he was gone. And it was,
Barry Allen had been dead since like 86. So it's like...
The Justice League animated series, was that Wally West?
That was Wally West.
Okay. That makes sense
Because
to me.
they never really came out and showed his secret identity much. So, like,
They did Young Justice, though.
In the episode when the Thanagarians take over, Starcrossed, all the heroes, all the 7 of them, they're like, we have to hide. And Flash is kind of like, he's like, I don't really want to tell you guys my secret identity. And Bruce just takes off his mask. He's like, I'm Bruce Wayne, Superman's Clark Kent, and you're Wally West.
No. The best one is the one episode where Flash and Lex swapped bodies.
Yes.
And Lex goes in. He's like, "Well, I'm the Flash. Let me go find out who my secret identity is." He takes the hood off and he goes, "Who's this?"
Yeah. I love that.
I don't know who
So
you are.
And I love that crossover was amazing metatextually, because the guy who played the voice of Wally West on the cartoon played Lex Luthor in Smallville,
Yeah, it was that guy.
which is so fun.
Michael.
By the way,
Rosen-
Clancy Brown, the guy who played Lex Luthor from Superman all the way through Justice League, for me, definitive voice of Lex Luthor.
Oh, you're talking about in the Justice League cartoon
Absolutely.
show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had that deep kind of sinister
that
voice.
Superman animated
Yeah.
series. Yeah.
Yep. So great.
Yeah, he was a great son. Okay, so
Just like Batman in that animated series. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Kevin
those
Conroy is
are
bad.
the big issues I wanted to go over, Rob. So I want to move on now.
so
well, I just wanted to kind of transition to new because I know Sal is a big Marvel guy, so I figured we transition into Sal's neck of the
we
woods
always
and
have
my
to
neck
do
of the
both,
woods.
but-
Yeah.
Right.
The problem with the Flash pilot, honestly, is we could talk about it all day because it is literally an hour of cameos, nods to the series, nods to the universe, throwing in all kinds of crazy stuff. It's almost mostly all that crap, which might be why I got so excited because the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, "That's the West family, that's the West flag. I know what's going on."
That's exactly why it was done. The whole reason why it was done.
I know. I
Yeah.
can't believe they're doing Grodd.
Okay, yeah, hold on. I
really?
need your guys'
They're
opinion.
doing Grodd.
They're doing in there.
Oh my gosh, how are they gonna do that?
They pace by a cage which says Grodd on it, and it's been broken out of, and you're assumed that Grodd got out.
Yeah, like a
Rob.
super smart gorilla. I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Rob, how do you feel about a super smart gorilla in your superheroes?
at this point, I come from Marvel Comics, all right? We've got a 2,000-foot tall purple man that eats planets. I'm really not that, against a super smart gorilla. I'm really not, that's fine with me. Honestly, there are other villains they could include in the DC universe and totally screw up like Doomsday. So, I'm actually intrigued by this. And the whole reason why I'm intrigued is because I've always loved Gorilla Grodd as a character in DC Comics. I don't know that much about him, but to me, a genius level gorilla is just really cool. He always has these super amazing schemes, and he always puts villain teams together, and then he always fails, but he's always just an interesting character. And it's just a chance to see a breakaway from the status quo of one, Lex Luthor is the main villain for any kind of Superman film. Yeah. Two, something with, I guess maybe with Batman it's a little bit different. With Batman, it hasn't consistently been the same villain. I mean, you would think that it would. I guess you could look at it and say the Joker is the most notable villain when you look at Heath Ledger. But we've had Bane, we've had Poison Ivy, we've had Catwoman. We've had whoever the guy was that what's his name played in Batman Returns. We've had the Penguin. We've had a lot of different villains in Batman. But nonetheless, I think that when it comes to DC films, especially Superman, it's this formulaic thing of Superman versus Lex Luthor. And it's really, really old and it's really burned out. And so I'm glad to see that DC is expanding into characters that you would most likely have never seen before. I guarantee in the 1990s, you never would have seen a live-action Superman movie with Grodd, with a talking smart gorilla. I mean, that never would have happened. So I'm glad they're getting into this kind of territory.
They stayed away from him in the original Flash show, I think. I don't think they even mentioned him. They
never talked about him at all.
There's a couple reasons I think they're able to do this. For one thing, Marvel has gotten a little stranger with their movies. They started out realistic and eased people into the weird stuff, like, Extremis and Iron Man 3 and some of the space stuff and the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And they've gotten audiences kind of used to the weird stuff in comic book movies again. Yeah, as opposed to the Dark Knight, super realistic, gritty, kind of,
Which I was fine with until we started getting to the really crazy villains. And, no, he's realistic. Check it out now.
And another thing is visual effects have made leaps and bounds in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, he probably won't look so much like an actual gorilla that they put peanut butter in his mouth.
Gorilla. I want to see either a man in a suit or a real gorilla.
You're like, CG gorilla? No.
I want practical effects like all those Star Wars fans.
Like I knew you were going to say that.
I do want practical effects like all those Star Wars fans. But yeah, I want Powers Booth from the cartoon to play him again in this, and I want a real gorilla. Like, and he doesn't have, you know what? You don't even need to move his mouth. He could be a real gorilla, and he communicates telepathically, so he doesn't have to move his mouth.
And
you're already writing a better show than they're probably going to put out. Sal.
They're not going to do that.
and he needs to have a British accent because everybody knows that all the
Grodd
biggest
has
supervillains do what?
Pretty sure Grodd does have one.
Oh, does he have a British
Yeah, I
accent?
think he does.
I had no idea.
Oh,
okay.
And
Yeah, all the best
And
villains are
one-
British.
British are evil. All of you guys who live in the UK, Sal said it before the show. All
I
the
did.
British are evil.
Subscribe and complain.
one
Subscribe and
one
complain.
last
Yeah,
thing.
everyone go subscribe to his channel and put your complaints about his views on the British people.
I'm
right, before-
wondering about licensing. One last thing.
Okay.
Does the CW have the rights to do the entire DC universe in their television series?
Yeah,
I'm
they're owned
wondering
by
that
Warner
myself
Brothers.
because they're mentioning Wayne Tech,
Yeah.
and in the Arrow show we've gotten a lot of mentions to other things. So maybe they do. Maybe they have the TV
Because-
rights to live action.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they did Smallville as well, right?
Yeah.
So that
So-
means they've got Superman in there somewhere.
As I
Yeah.
remember, the only restrictions they have are self-imposed. Because when they couldn't use Nightwing, they couldn't use Joker in Justice League Unlimited because they were making a movie with the Joker in it, and they didn't want any confusion. So they deliberately didn't put the Joker into the cartoon. Like Joker was in Justice League season 1 and 2, but then when they transitioned over, Joker never came back. Likewise, Robin couldn't be in Justice League because he was already appearing in Teen Titans, and they were worried about confusion. But they could do whatever they wanted because all the characters are owned by Warner Brothers, and it's a Warner Brothers show.
Yeah.
Now, Fox is doing the Batman show. It could be that in order for like a deal that they may have struck up with Fox is you can use the Wayne name, but you can't use Batman. Or you can use Batman, but you can't use any of the Batman
Yeah.
villains.
Well, see, I think
But then
isn't
there's also
Gotham
Constantine
more
with NBC.
isn't Gotham more about the city than it is about Batman though?
Yeah.
Like it's
police
about
force.
like more like a police show it seems than it
Yeah.
is
No,
about
no one's gonna watch it past 3 episodes. So.
Yeah, they're not because anybody that's going to sit down and watch something about Gotham is going to want to see Batman.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, here's the other thing. It's on Fox, so it will last 4 episodes at most, and then it will be canceled.
And they'll be played out of order. We're gonna see episode 7 first.
Yes, exactly. You're gonna be like, why is Riddler in this?
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to say, and this isn't for you, Rob, but this is for actually the viewers of this podcast. I actually want your guys' opinion, because with the new season coming out, we're about to start getting a Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. We're going to get Arrow Season 3. We're going to get The Flash Season 1. We're going to get Constantine. I wanted to know if you guys in this podcast want us to do a segment where we round up the weekly shows. We spend 5 to 10 minutes per show. We kind of go over our opinions, what we saw, what happened, and I just want to know if you guys want us to cover this on a regular basis because once they come out, we're gonna get a lot of shows in a week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can have a fun discussion every week, just half the show or a section of the podcast discussing what happened in all these shows and how they're linking it all up and everything. So let us know in the comments down below. Would you guys like to see a longer, more involved TV discussion? And obviously, we won't spend an hour on the pilots. We'll cut them down and go over some highlights. But
yeah, that's a really awesome idea. Like
Yeah.
that sounds really cool.
Watch that.
All right,
for the record, Rob, you're gonna have to watch them every week now. All the DC stuff. There's more DC than Marvel. I'm sorry, that's not my fault.
well, you know what? I mean, if I have to watch those crappy DC shows, then whatever.
Well, here's the thing though, is actually there's gonna be more Marvel than there is DC eventually because there's gonna be Daredevil and Luke
No, we're not counting
Cage.
Netflix.
Yeah, they're
Iron
not counting
Fist.
Netflix.
Oh come on!
No, 'cause
You
then
know
we lose.
those
That
shows
doesn't
are
work.
gonna be better than most of the stuff on TV is anyways.
I mean, I don't know
You're
about
right.
better. I mean, you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the production quality is not the. I mean, you look at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 1 and it's like,
Actually, Rob's
but look
right.
at House of Cards. They shot that in 4K.
yeah, they did, and that show is amazing. But
They
the
spent
writing
like
is what makes that show
$25
good.
million on that show.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
it comes down to who they have writing up the other episodes, I mean,
Exactly.
I love Joss Whedon, I do, but in my opinion, he spent too much time Whedoning up the Marvel Avengers show. It needed to get more to the Avengers and the
Yeah.
Shield in general, and less. I've got 13 episodes where I get to establish who's who, so that you'll feel more betrayed later in the season.
It needed to be more like Arrow and have more cameos.
Yeah, it needed to link better into the universe. In my opinion, he
But-
Whedoned it up, which is not what I wanted from my Shield show.
And-
My Shield show, you're right. I wanted more cameos. I wanted more stuff linked into it. I wanted it to be more part of the universe, and Shield felt separate up until the Thor movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And-
the tie-in episodes were awesome.
Yeah.
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 And they're doing a lot more of those. Speaking of which, so I can never remember if his name is Greg Clark or Clark Gregg. I think it's Clark Gregg.
Gregg.
Yeah. So you guys know we did an AMA on Reddit a while ago, right?
Oh yeah.
No.
And Ask Me Anything on Reddit. Like, he got on Reddit, my name's Clark Gregg, Ask Me Anything, so on and
Is
so
that
forth.
what AMA means?
Yeah, Ask Me
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah. So, during his AMA, and this is kind of old news, but during his AMA, somebody asked him, if you could be any character from Marvel Comics, what would it be? And he said Captain Marvel. So there's rumors floating around that because of
course
what took place in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because they used Kree blood to bring him back to life, so on and so forth, that he could be
Yeah.
Captain Marvel. So, are you guys familiar with Captain Marvel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind
Okay.
of want, shout out to my girlfriend, a strong female character in the Marvel universe.
I like the female Captain Marvel.
Because she has complained many times while watching Marvel movies with me that they really need a strong female character, so I would want the female version.
Well, we could just have
Captain
Squirrel
Marvel.
Girl if she wants a strong female
Oh,
character.
Dude, I would love to see her even cameo in. You know,
That'd be so
Yeah,
awesome.
who is this Squirrel Girl? What does she do? Talk to squirrels and she has a tail.
Yeah.
Every furry loves her.
And she's got sharp claws.
I guarantee you, one day she will be in Shield.
I really
Like,
want to
there
see
will
that
be-
happen.
Yeah.
I
Who
want
are
to
you, Squirrel Girl?
I want to see
Your
some girl
powers.
come running in there with a squirrel tail and slashing at people with her claws. Like, I just want to see that happen and see somebody
She
get
is
get
awesome.
scratched.
I really want them to make a Captain Marvel movie, like a female Captain Marvel movie.
I would love to see the female Captain Marvel, not.
Yeah.
And
Well,
not
I wanna
that
see
weird one,
that.
not the Pakistani one. That's not really Captain
And
Marvel at all.
I guess they could do the first movie, or if they do Captain Marvel in an Avengers movie, they can start it out as the male version, have it transition to the female version. I just think that would be the perfect, strong female character.
Yeah, no, I agree. She'd be the perfect lead, or to bring in Spider Woman, Jessica Drew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Either one of those.
they're
would be
doing a
perfect.
Jessica Drew show. That's the show on Netflix, isn't it?
That's Jessica Jones.
Or,
Yeah, Jessica Jones.
Yes, yeah, different girl.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the wife of Luke Cage, and that's why it's
Yeah.
all tying in together because they I mean she's no Miss Marvel, but she's still formidable in her own right in terms of her
Yeah,
capabilities. But,
I'm glad it's gonna be on Netflix because then they can actually like do things with it. Like I was really worried that because ABC, Disney, Marvel, all that stuff, that doing a Jessica. If you guys haven't read Alias, it is pretty cool, but it's also very like HBO.
yeah.
And I think it'd be really like on Netflix. They might actually be able to do like some really cool stuff with that. And I like Jessica Jones as a character. I think she's really strong and interesting and vulnerable, and they could do. She wouldn't be a headlining movie character. Like they're never going to make a Jewel movie, but they could do. They could
You
do
never
a
know
really
with the way they're going.
but they could do a really cool Jessica Jones show. But I would love to see a female Marvel character get a movie before Wonder Woman. Just to stick it to them that much more. Just be like, yeah, we made Guardians of the
So-
Galaxy, and you couldn't even do a Green Lantern movie. Like,
and that's the
I'm
thing.
just gonna say that everything is off the table now. We have a movie coming out where Vin Diesel stars as a tree.
yep.
So
And just as
so
I am
excited.
Groot the entire time. That's all he says.
So
well,
supposedly he phoned it in. I am Groot.
pretty soon Marvel's just gonna have like 5 TV shows, and there's gonna be tie-ins for every movie throughout the TV shows,
yeah.
and all of the movies are going to be tie-ins themselves to other movies, and
Yep.
everybody's gonna have to watch every single Marvel movie to
I'm cool
understand
with
what's
that.
going on.
yeah, it sounds good to me. I'm already doing that.
I was gonna say, I'm cool with
yeah,
it,
I
because
am too.
When people don't watch it, then me and Rob will get more viewers because we're gonna explain it.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm really psyched about because all right, so just for a second, I know Benny's going to get into the Avengers Disassembled, but let's talk about like the Scarlet Witch for a second. The fact that Marvel's doing all this stuff, like we have Luke Cage and we have Daredevil, like we have all these TV shows coming to Netflix, I think we're going to see an Avengers Disassembled event coming up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we're going to see a point because you've got Chris, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name anymore, but Chris Evans.
Hemsworth?
No, Chris Evans. Yeah, he doesn't want to do Captain America movies anymore. He's like, I'm done playing Captain America. Robert Downey Jr. is in other projects with Robert Duvall, and he doesn't want to really do Iron Man that much anymore. And so you've got these characters who have really kind of like set the foundation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Marvel's going outside the status quo by doing Guardians of the Galaxy, where they're going to have a character, like you guys said. I mean, Groot. Maximus the Mad, the brother of Black Bolt, said that Groot is apparently so smart that when he talks, all we can understand when he says is, I am Groot, even though he's saying like a multitude of other stuff. But Maximus was also crazy too, so nobody knows if that's true or not. But the fact remains that we're seeing like all these events unfold, and I think you're gonna have like all these characters who have set this foundation, and then eventually they're gonna leave. I mean, I think that Captain America is gonna be assassinated. I think we're gonna see this post-Civil War event where Captain America gets killed. I mean, we've seen Crossbones set up in the at the end, or I guess during the Winter Soldier film. So I think that Crossbones is gonna kill him. Now, whether or not we see Sharon Carter actually the one that pulls the trigger to give the killing blow, I'm not really sure. But I think that we're gonna see Captain America go away. I think that Robert Downey Jr., they're just going to kind of write him off, however. Maybe as some kind of post-Age of Ultron. He's the one that created Ultron kind of thing. His alcoholism moves him out of the picture. I don't know how they're going to do that. And
real quick with that one, that's easy to fix, though.
Do what?
The Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man thing is an easy fix. Iron Man is in a full-body suit. If Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to do Iron Man movies anymore, you still have Iron Man. You just easily...
You could,
else in a suit. I mean,
but what I'm
Downey
saying
could easily, like, if they didn't want to make him take the mask. I mean, I don't think Downey's out entirely. It's just my concern is that he's getting old, and he's not going to want they're going to basically make a decision at some point where they're like, okay, Downey's going to come in for the close-ups, like he'll be in, and he can show up as Tony Stark.
He'll just make a cameo, basically as himself.
And that seems to be the direction.
Iron Man fly around and he can do the ADR.
I can tell, Robert Downey Jr. still really likes to make indie movies.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like, the big budget, crazy, you've got to be on a set for 3-4 months and go through hell basically to make this movie, but we're going to pay you $50 billion.
That's the thing. He does like that. He does like that. And
I don't think anybody would complain about
I'm in the wrong line of work.
Of course, then there's Chris Evans.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think that we're going to see an Avengers Disassembled kind of thing going on post-Age of Ultron. And then I think we're going to see a new Avengers setup. But that begs the question, because the new Avengers were led by Tony Stark and Captain America.
Yeah.
And so, what are they just going to get rid of him entirely? And are we just going to have a new Avengers being led by, I don't know,
Wolverine.
I mean, is it going to be led by Clark Gregg as Captain Marvel, as Marvel? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, I think
they'll just recast.
You think so?
I think that I don't think. Yeah, I think the Marvel's too focused on money for them to just go, oh well, how can we make it fit? They'll just recast.
They did it 3 times with Hulk.
Yeah, I don't want them to do it, but I know that. But they do it with Hulk. They'll be like, yeah, no.
The reason why I don't think they can do a recast on some of their major characters is they built the franchise off of keeping the same people playing the roles.
Yeah.
So I think they would find a way to kind of move out of those. After they do 3 or 4 movies with each character, they're going to transition into something else.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to agree with Sal on this, because even if the movie started pulling half of what it was making, it's still a major smash blockbuster hit.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Iron Man 1 is one of the most successful films that Marvel's ever produced. And Captain America the Winter Soldier is the most successful film they've ever produced.
If they just did half. Oh, yeah, it's a new Captain America.
Well, no, I guess Avengers is
okay, so what would seem better to an audience? To recast somebody as Tony Stark, or to have Tony Stark pass off his mantle to somebody else that makes sense?
I'd say get rid of Tony Stark.
They would probably just say, I would say get rid of him because fans would like that more just to move on.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, Marvel's just going to go, what would be the cheapest way to do? We won't pay Robert Downey Jr. to even make a cameo in this movie, and we're just going to pay this new guy
Yep.
And we'll lose half the people that watched it because we recast it, but whatever. It's still
Yeah.
$200 billion.
Not only that, but like I don't want to see that because I know what Marvel will do when they make those kinds. When they make a movie decision, they try to carry it over in the comics because they think that people are coming from the theaters to read the comics, and they're not. Like,
No, sales prove that one.
so
Yeah.
they really think like, but they still tell themselves that's what's happened. So like, if they had a movie at the end of like Avengers 3 where Tony Stark says, "Well, I think I'm going to be done being Iron Man, but maybe this young guy might be Iron Man." In the comics, Iron Man will retire, and they will replace him with some young guy. Like, they
That's
will
true.
do that. And I don't want to see that, because they don't have to age in the comics, so, like... And it'd be so obvious. It'd be so, like, yeah, you just did that because the movie did that. Like, the
Yeah.
Spider-Man organic webbing. Like, well, he has organic webbing in the movie, and it'd be confusing if he has, like, this one random thing, so we'll change that,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I agree with you on that. And they need to stop going into that kind of a thing because they're half-assed doing it.
Yeah.
They're not full on doing it and then linking it to the movie. If it linked to the movie, cool, I'd be behind it.
Yeah.
But the fact that it doesn't link to the movie and they half-ass make them all match up, like when they did the Avengers Assembled comic book.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be the cast from the movie, but it wasn't the full cast from the movie. They still threw in random extra people and mixed it up to everything, and they threw in Thanos, which made no freaking sense because he technically wasn't supposed to even be around at the time.
No,
Yeah.
I think it was in the Cancer verse or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was one of the things that drove me up the wall. Like people, like you had Thanos, you had Peter Quill, and you had Nova, who were locked in the the Cancerverse after the events of the Thanos Imperative. And so Marvel kept kind of going back, and they kind of kept saying, well, you know, we're kind of hinting to the fact that Thanos is going to return, and there's like Thanos is back, and no one knows how. And so
They are
he's just
explaining
there.
that though. The
Oh,
next
are
issue
they?
the next issue of Guardians of the Galaxy is all about that.
Thank God,
Wait,
man,
is it
because
this
they've just been
cover-
dragging it on
Is it
for
this one or
months.
the one after it?
I think it's the one after that. The cover is by the guy who drew the first volume of Guardians of the Galaxy when I don't remember who was writing it, when they like relaunched it.
Oh, okay, the Annihilation
War
Conquest.
As my
Okay.
friends call it, the Guardians of Iron Man.
Guardians of Iron Man. Okay. So let's talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy for a second. So for those of you guys who are watching this and don't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy are, not familiar, I've got a video on it. But the short run is they had an event called Annihilation Conquest. Some really bad mojo happened. This crazy guy called Nihilus showed up, wanted to eradicate all life, blah, 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 blah. They stopped him. Peter Quill came along and said, we basically need a galactic version of the Avengers to keep stuff like this from happening. So they formed the Guardians of the Galaxy, so on and so forth. So anyway, without a doubt, hands down, I think the one character from Guardians of the Galaxy that's going to steal the show is Rocket Raccoon. Like people are already hyped up for his character because he's so badass. Like he's awesome in the comics. I love his
Well, and
character in the comics.
he's unique too. Like he's a
Yeah.
unique concept to
He's not a
anybody who
raccoon.
hasn't
Yeah.
been read a comic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a cute raccoon that
not a
acts like
raccoon.
a badass.
he's not a raccoon.
That's what he
Don't
keeps
make me
saying.
repeat myself. He'll kill you.
I mean, he's a bipedal raccoon that was given
not a raccoon.
enhanced intelligence. Then what is he if he's not a raccoon?
I don't know. He never says. He just says, I'm not a
He's a
raccoon.
raccoon.
He's a
He just doesn't want to be
raccoon.
called one.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to be
Yeah.
called one.
Because Rocket was, I think it was taken by the Kree and then experimented on, but he was a raccoon.
I thought there was a whole race of them.
No. Rocket
No,
Raccoon.
He was a raccoon, and they experimented on him, and they gave him like bionic enhancements and hyper intelligence, and he escaped. Like I think it was the Kree screwing around with life.
Well, no, he was
did that
originally, like they originally did, they set his character up, unless they've retconned it, if I remember correctly, they set his character up so that he was supposed to be one of several individuals that was guarding like some planet for the criminally insane or something like that.
Right.
And they gave him artificial intelligence stuff so that they could basically just like leave monitoring of this planet to whatever indigenous species they just dropped off there, or whatever species
Gotcha.
they left there. So now that I could be wrong about, but I'm feel fairly confident that I'm accurate.
I
on
thought
that.
I remembered it, but I haven't read it as recently. Not like
Yeah.
the
They
old
may have changed it because with the movie coming out, they may have said, well, that's just stupid, and so they
Mm-hmm.
just made it something different. But like nonetheless, like yeah, he's a bipedal raccoon who never misses his target. And actually, one of the coolest scenes, one of the coolest instances with him is during the Thanos Imperative when Thanos, like when they rediscover Thanos and he's just mindless and crazy and totally rabid. what is it? Rocket Raccoon is talking to him and basically tells him, "Oh, if you don't calm down, like we're going to drop you into a gravity well, and your punishment is going to be infinite life." Which, of course, is like the worst thing that Thanos could endure is living forever.
Yeah.
So it was like this really really cool scene, and then Thanos calmed down, and then they were finally able to rationalize with him and say like there's some guys coming through a rift in space that want to kill us all and destroy Mistress Death. Like we need to stop her, or stop those guys. So, but that's the thing, you know. I'm curious where they're going with Thanos because for the most part, no one knows anything. Like no one knows anything about where they're going with Thanos. We've seen some Infinity Gems, we see Guardians of the Galaxy, so we know there's going to probably be a big event that takes place in space. We've got the Avengers. Surely the Avengers are not going to be confined to planet Earth doing any event that involves Thanos. So it's probably going to be this great big huge spacefaring event. They're tipping our head to the Kree. We see the Nova Corps. Like we see all these major things taking place. And so, you know, I'm sure at the end of this or at some point along the line, we're going to have this great big huge, you know, I guess universal-wide battle, but you know I don't know what direction they're going to take it. I mean, they can't do the Thanos, or they can't do like the Infinity Gauntlet because I've been thinking about that. The Infinity Gauntlet story wouldn't make any sense in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, and the reason why is because there's no one that's been presented to us that could stand against Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Like no one. No. You know, I mean, there's not a
maybe that's the movie in itself though.
I mean,
maybe that'll be the introduction of a universe cosmic character. Maybe Captain Universe will show up or something like that.
Adam Warlock or something.
Or Adam Warlock. Or
know.
Mad Jim Jaspers.
Or Mad Jim Jaspers. I mean, you know, and even during the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, like no one really stopped him per se. He just kind of ran drunk with power and said, "I'm one with the universe." And then Nebula took the gauntlet off his hands, and then she went crazy. So,
yeah,
you know,
that's what I mean. Like they could still do it. They could.
Yeah.
Just because they don't have character that can defeat him yet does not mean that could lead up to a whole other series of events because they made the Avengers because of the alien attack. What are the Avengers going to do if they can't stop Thanos? They're going to scale it up again. Yeah. Maybe that's why the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers have to come together.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not seeing anyone that's been presented in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who is just so wildly powerful that even if Thanos didn't have the Infinity Gauntlet, they could pose a reasonable challenge. Like, I mean, we've seen Thanos absolutely stomp Bruce Banner in the Incredible Hulk. Like, we've seen him pound him into the ground. Like, he took on Bruce Banner's the Incredible Hulk, and I think, who else? He took on, like, Drax the Destroyer.
Drax.
Yeah, he took down Drax the Destroyer. Like, he took down, I mean, he withstood a full scream from Black Bolt. Like, Black Bolt screamed in his face, and he just, like, smashed his face into the ground during
Who's to say that they won't tear his power down, though?
Like, I hope they don't. I hope that I do not want to see this as an early, you know, Jim Starlin run of Thanos. Like I'd be so mad.
I'd be so disappointed. The reason why we don't have any cosmic characters, because even in Guardians of the Galaxy, it looks like we're just getting the normal guys in the universe. We're not getting cosmics. Is I don't think they want to run into the Superman syndrome, where I mean, and Marvel has the same problem. There are heroes in DC and Marvel that are so freaking powerful that anytime something happens, you're just like, where the hell was the super duper powerful guy? Why didn't they show up? And in comic books, it's easy for us to just nod it away. As Sal says, to just go, oh, they were busy over in Sector H doing, you know. But in the movie universe, you're going to a larger demographic, and everything has to make sense to a certain extent. Yeah. So if Marvel introduces their cosmic, super powerful, oh my god character, why is that guy not just showing up and stopping everything?
Right.
I mean, we're already kind of half seeing things. S.H.I.E.L.D. is completely going down and burning. Everything is dying. And where was Iron Man during this entire thing?
Yeah.
We're already kind of getting that same question of, you know, where you know, the Bruce Banner thing. Bruce Banner, during the last actual Hulk movie, was dealing with all kinds of crazy stuff, and they're destroying an entire city. And you mean to tell me that, you know, Iron Man didn't fly in? They didn't send in Captain America to fix that, you know?
Yeah.
So we're already kind of running into this. So if you add the cosmic level character, then it's a question of why didn't they blink and show up?
I mean, and even in the comics you see that. Like, my subs have been screaming at me, my fans have been screaming at me about Franklin Richards, saying, like, we want Franklin Richards. But Franklin Richards is a perfect example. You've got a 12-year-old kid that could just
or 30,
annihilate,
when he wants to be.
Or 30, that could annihilate all of existence just like that, you know, with a snap of his finger. And he's so, you know, demigod kind of powerful, you know, god level powerful. Yep. And yet he pretty much never shows up I mean,
Yeah.
you've got the Civil War event, when Susan Storm bails on Reed Richards. She's like, I'm going to join Captain America's side. And you've got Johnny Storm playing with Valeria and Franklin Richards. Like, the little kid could end it all. Like, he could just stop it all.
Yeah.
You've got... Huh?
Oh, I was going to say, did you read that article? I don't remember who published it, but, like, it was recently...
The Franklin Richards syndrome?
Yeah,
The whole universe is affected by him.
Yeah, why nobody ages. It's because Franklin Richards doesn't want anybody to die.
Like, I read that where everything was fine until the 60s, and then it just got all wibbly wobbly Doctor Who style.
That's why, like, no one knows that they're not aging. Like, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good to me.
Supposedly there's a theory for DC, but I can't find the article. They mentioned in that article, they're like, it doesn't even make it, this isn't even close to how crazy the DC theory is. And I'm like, what's the DC theory?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I think another thing is once you get to that like tier of power, things like certain things become less important to you.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Franklin Richards, I can compare him to probably Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. He, after the event of Watchmen, he's just like, why am I bothering with this simple crap?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off and be in the universe and actually make use of my abilities.
Yeah, but the Mr. Manhattan is a total... We could easily get a superpower... I mean, Superman's a great example. He's super powerful, and he's still... it does every little thing that happens unless it just doesn't work for the story.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the big questions people have, about Marvel, and I guess they have about DC too. Is why even introduce a character that could do anything with anything, that basically can do whatever they want to? Why even introduce them if you're going to have like big stories? I mean, you have like the War Kings. All right, Sal, you raise a good point. You've got like Vulcan, who's head of the Shi'ar Empire at the time, right? Yeah, I mean, and you have him going against the is it the Kree or the Skrulls? I can't remember.
It was the Skrulls, but I thought the Skrulls' homeworld was eten by Galactus at that point, so they were kind of scattered.
Okay, so maybe it was a Kree, but nonetheless, like you have Vulcan versus some other individual, and the problem here is you have all these major conflicts taking place. How do you stop? Like, why have a character like Franklin Richards that could just end it all?
Right.
Like why even have that character? Because in the back of your mind, no matter how crazy the story gets, no matter how insane things get, no matter like how hopeless the conflict is, that there's one guy that could just snap his fingers and it all comes to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why doesn't he do it?
And that's the point I was making. I'm like, and I think that's why we're avoiding cinematic universe. Because what I've noticed with the cinematic universe is if they don't have to explain it, they don't want to.
No, and that's like the old Joe Quesada excuse when Quesada told Straczynski to undo the marriage. Straczynski had Mephisto. He had them go back in time, and he had this whole like he plotted out this whole like butterfly effect. In one event changed, and it changed all these things that allowed the marriage to go away, but everything else work and have it all make sense. And Quesada's like, no, just don't explain it. Just no. Just say that went away and that's it. And Straczynski says, like, no, but if you're using magic, it has to make sense. And Quesada's line is, it's magic. We don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, if that's the mentality over there, like, if it's magic and I don't have like we allow magic to be however powerful or however not powerful it is, and it's just convenience.
It's a story element. That's all it is. And
yeah.
It's like the cosmic cube. The cosmic cube for the longest time is just the answer to whatever we couldn't explain.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yep.
I mean, the Scarlet Witch was the same way, which I guess kind of leads into the House of M, because I know we said we talked about the House of M, but the Scarlet Witch first shows up, and she's part of Magneto's crew, the original Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and she was like, well, we're going to do some hexes, and stuff's just going to kind of fall in our favor. And then we get to the House of M, and she warps reality, and
now
Doctor Strange
she can rewrite reality.
Yeah, now she can rewrite reality. It's just.
Didn't they say that the reason for that was she got granted some additional power or something for that one incident?
No, she always had, like, that power just kept evolving and evolving and evolving and evolving, and just kept growing into the point where she was just super powerful.
Yep.
I could have sworn that they wrote it off at some point that she was so powerful due to something at that point, and now it's gone.
Well, in House of M, like the reason why she's able to reshape the world is because she uses her powers in conjunction with Professor X's mental capabilities.
Yeah, okay, that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, she
So-
combined.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because she had because he was the first one to vanish, and I guess she had taken him or something. I can't remember that.
Yeah,
but-
because there's a shadowy scene where it's her, Quicksilver, and Professor X is like sweating and screaming. So like you're like, oh, I guess she's using him in some way. I don't think they ever really explain how she used him, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I guess to jump to an older story, which is actually a kind of theme that I like, is talking about like older storylines in Marvel and DC. Like I like that idea. So to jump to like a storyline not too long ago to the House of M, I would love to see some variant of that take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just really kind of wishful thinking at this point, but the introduction of the Scarlet Witch would be really kind of awesome, because the Scarlet Witch was just always kind of hinging on crazy, and then she fell off the deep end.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping that like with their introduction as like miracles or whatever it is, maybe the experiments or whatever it is that Hydra did on her to really kind of like give her the powers that she has are really just kind of like contributing to her sanity eroding over time. You know, I don't know if that'll be the case or not, but I think that would be a really cool thing, because the House of M gave us a chance to see characters that we just wouldn't normally see them. Like, you know, we saw Wolverine and Mystique banging each other, you know, and Emma Frost and Cyclops were together, and at the time they weren't. You know, at that point in the comics they weren't. So, you know, it was really kind of a cool thing to really kind of see it all come together and to function that way. But as I understand it, the House of M wasn't confined to Earth. Like the House of M, I thought was confined to like that entire universe as a whole.
I know that they speculated about it in the comic itself. Like, Pym and McCoy are like, we don't know like how far it reached. Like even in Avengers Disassembled, like when the Kree attack and and Shield can't see the Kree ships on their sensors, but they're there and they killed Hawkeye and stuff. They asked themselves like, how far did Scarlet Witch's powers reach? Like, did she pull people from the Kree Empire to fight? Did she were they were they just visions? Like, we don't know the reaches of her power and of the effective House of M. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, a lot of things that happen in Marvel leave that back door so that later on, if they want to explain something, they're like, "Oh, that was because of the House of M event in 2008."
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
yeah. Ugh,
Go
I
buy
gotta-
that book for $150.
It's like,
So
man, it's
I'm
one of the
still
best
pissed
stories.
about that.
It's one of the best
Still pissed.
stories.
Yeah.
Before we really dive into this, how long has this podcast been running, Rob? Because I feel like we've been chatting now for close to 2 hours. And I know we
Hour
weren't
and
here
a
last
half.
week, so we have an excuse. And we're going to say that Sal just talks a lot.
Yeah, just blame it on me. That's fine.
I mean, the viewers said they like having longer podcasts. So
Oh, I know, but I don't want us to exceed like 4 hours, especially when
No. We're not even-
next week. If
we're
we
not even
wanted
remotely
to.
close to that. And I know
Plus,
that
I'd like to prepare better for House of M.
I know the viewers want, like, they've wanted a discussion on the House of M for a long time, and I think they've wanted like this round table style discussion of like the House of M, where they just want us like talking about it. So, I mean, shit, man, give them what they want.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
down with that.
Topic itself could become something that we talk about more in full next week, or this turns into a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're
Because we've been talking now for 2 hours and 15 minutes by my clock, and I got to leave in 45. So.
oh, okay.
I do as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we can save the House of M for next week. I mean, we can bring Sal back on
I know
next
you're
week and talk
dying
about
for
House
it,
of
Rob,
M.
but you have to admit the Flash pilot takes precedent over the 2008 storyline.
It does, but it was a great. It's my favorite storyline in Marvel Comics. I love the House of M. It's my favorite storyline.
You will hit it. I will 100% hit it.
All right. Well, we'll bring Sal on next week, and we'll bring him on next week again, and we'll talk
I'll be
about the
happy
House of M. But
Happy to do that.
but yeah. So I mean,
real quick,
I guess
Rob, real quick.
Yeah.
Did you ask Sal if Sal can come next week?
I
I'm
mean,
down. If you guys want, I'll be happy to come back.
Sal didn't want to come. Like, I'm not coming back next week.
Yeah.
No, I just love the way
This
Rob's
podcast
like,
sucks.
like before this podcast, we're like maybe or maybe not. We didn't check for next week, and Rob's already like, next week Sal will be back, and it's like, did we check with Sal?
You get like an IN from me, like, no.
It's not.
Screw
I'm like,
you
yeah,
guys.
sounds good to me, guys. Do not say that again.
But yeah, I guess, I mean, if we're at the 2-hour mark, we'll go ahead and wrap this podcast up. But again, you know, if you guys want to see the whole debate between Sal and Benny, you know, where they were talking about Azrael versus the superior Spider-Man, which was the Dr. Octopus, or was Dr. Octopus having possession of Spider-Man's body, then, you know, head over to Comic Historian and check that out. And yeah, I guess that kind of wraps it up. I mean, again, Sal, you want to give people the rundown on your channel, let them know what you guys have going on over there?
Sure.
Don't we still need to talk about Original Sin?
Oh yeah, Original Sin.
Well, Benny says that we've been talking long enough, and that we need to bring this podcast to an
And
end.
then we also said that...
Why gotta do it? Why gotta be me? Why not? All the viewers now are gonna be like down below and be like, "That fucking, it's all about fucking Benny."
Oh,
Damn
man,
it, Benny.
I don't get my 3-hour podcast because of Benny now.
It's not Damn It Dave, it's Damn It Benny now.
Because before this, we only went to an hour and 15 minutes. And Rob, I can say all I want. I want a 12-hour podcast, but might not watch a 12-hour podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I'll tell
that's
you,
true.
I have a 40-minute show on Thursdays called Back Issues on TVLittleHouse,
Mhm.
and we shameless whoring I just did. I'm sorry.
By the
But,
way, it comes out every Thursday, and
Every
it's really
Thursday you get a
awesome.
new episode, 40 minutes,
Yeah.
between 30 and 40 minutes.
It's at youtube.com/TVLittleHouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And,
people that don't
Thursdays.
get a long enough podcast here because of Benny,
Yeah.
go over to my
Damn it,
channel.
Yeah. But just remember, guys, it's TV Little House. YouTube.com/TV Little House.
Yeah, it's a great channel. It's this TV Little House.
Yeah.
We're
I
just
mean,
helping.
I love the
Most
content.
What you
I love
all
the
need to do
content
is
out there.
think Little House on the Prairie, get rid of On the Prairie, add TV to the beginning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
TV Little
And by
House.
the way, if you look up Little House, you will not get TV Little House. You will get Little House on the Prairie.
But I have a lot of people who like the show who were like, "Oh, I loved last week's episode. Haven't finished it yet, but I love." And I'm like, "It's 40 minutes. Like, really?"
Watch
Well,
that shit on your lunch
yeah,
break, man.
Rob will do Civil War in a 2-hour thing, broken down into 4 videos. I'll do Superior Spider-Man 1 through 31 in 12 minutes. So that's the level of.
We could do quick initial thoughts about Original Sin. Like, what do we overall feel about it?
I had it pulled up.
I'm on the fence about the direction it's gone so far.
Okay.
The idea that Nick Fury's been using LMDs all this time, LMDs have been played out. But it could just be that they're just kind of poking fun at the fact that Marvel uses LMDs as a scapegoat for Nick Fury's stories whenever they write him into a wall. So,
Yeah.
Here's my question about that. Why are we going, like, this whole event to me so far feels like let's bring up characters that no one has any questions about, or like Watcher, he died. Oh, we're going to give him a history. Well, I didn't care about the Watcher, We're bringing back the Orb. Who the hell cares about the Orb?
Yeah.
And now we're going to explain Nick Fury even further. And I'm like, were there questions about Nick Fury? Like,
I mean, the Watcher, the only real purpose the Watcher ever served was one. I mean, he was mysterious, and to a degree, I would have liked to learn a little more about him. But the only time I ever really care about the Watcher is when he appears in the comics, because it's like, okay, like some really big stuff's about to happen. Like that's really like Marvel telling you like things like something really big is getting ready to take place. That's really the only time he ever shows up. And that's really the only reason he needs to show up.
Yeah.
Is just to let us know that like a major story is about to take place. Yeah.
I did love Original Sin number 0 by Wade.
Yeah.
That explained the Watcher's story. I never really cared about the Watcher's backstory, but reading that, I was like, it's really nice. That was a good story. Like, that was really well done.
Rob and I disagreed about that. Like, I agree with you, it was a well story, but here the question I like, Rob and I both agreed that we like the Watcher as a cosmic entity
Yes.
that is just mysterious. And now you're making him humanized, and he makes more sense. And you're like, why? Now he's just a guy who had a whole bunch of families and was a part of a race that.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we needed that. We didn't need it. It was a nice story, but we didn't need that about the
No.
Watcher.
Yeah.
Well, it was a way for I think it was just their way of A, selling an extra book, and B, being like, okay, the Watcher died. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's try and make it so that someone might care. And I'll be honest, like, they made me care a little bit more. I was like, as opposed to him being a plot device, I was like, well, it's too bad. Like,
They're pushing it even further, though, now. Now the Watcher had a kid. And now, like, they're really, oh, no, you really should have cared about the Watcher, even though we've never really done anything with him.
yeah.
But it's like what they've done so far is unnecessary fluff. Like we had Moondragon and we had Gamora and we had Bucky Barnes flying around the cosmos, and they're like, oh my God, we're seeing like a dead planet. You had Punisher and Doctor Strange who are going to other dimensions and they're like, why are all these monsters dead? They've been gone for a long time. And then Nick Fury pops up and says, hey, I'm really old, but ever since the 1960s, I've been traveling around killing all these monsters and stuff. I mean, it's just not like. it's not what I was hoping for. You know,
No.
when I read the last comic book and they revealed that Nick Fury is old, the Infinity Formula is no longer effective, and every version of Nick Fury that we've seen since the 1960s has just been a life model decoy. That includes Nick Fury from Secret Invasion. That includes Nick Fury, the
Secret War.
Yeah, the Secret War, Nick Fury's Secret War. Every appearance that Nick Fury's ever had is just a life model decoy, and it's disappointing that they're taking it in this direction. They could have done so much great stuff with that, you know, but they're just kind of taking it in this direction.
You want to talk about BS directions from or Original Sin? How about the fact that the Avengers are currently traveling through time again?
Yeah.
Again. But now we're going to the future.
But that may not necessarily be a bad thing because they jump to like sporadic years, you know, and they jump to what is it? They jump to 50 years in the future. And
45 years in the future, and then they went another like 100 or something.
Yeah.
600.
They eventually go to where Ultron wins again anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And all that's really done is to just set things up for Age of Ultron coming down the line, so people will remain interested. But nonetheless, you know, I'm just, you know, this is one of those storylines that Marvel is creating where I feel like it could have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been really good. I mean, seeing the unseen, you know, the Watcher, you know, what happens with people having the Watcher's eyes. And we still don't know who has the other eye. At least to my knowledge, we don't know who has the other eye. So
I don't think so. At least I haven't found it.
I mean, it could become a really, really cool story. But up to this point, I'm not really happy with what I'm seeing right now. I'm just kind of disappointed with the direction the Marvel's taken. It's just kind of become what could have been. It's what could have been a great story, and it's kind of become a mundane story. I mean, there's a reason why I had to get caught up on Civil War, and I didn't just read it the week it came out. So
See, this is why, like, you guys give me a hard time for not getting single issues, but now you've invested what, $4 a week
roughly
into this book for the last 5 or 6
It's
weeks.
just a smoking habit.
yeah, man.
and you're not happy with it. Well, I can go, oh, this event wasn't any good. I'm going to skip this one.
But David, if we don't support the books coming out now, you won't get books later to read.
Boom.
I don't think that's true. Because
Logic bombs.
They've had the original Sin hardcover planned since before original Sin
But what I'm
started.
saying is, if nobody buys the individual issues, they'll stop making individual issues, and then no books will come out of that. You're right. The hardcover is going to come out no matter what. But if sales dip, we lose books.
Yeah, or at the very least, we'll get like
that's
a
true.
story that's just kind of shoehorned into an ending, and it'll just kind of be crap. But
That's true.
anyway, with that being said, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and kind of wrap this up.
Are you sure, Rob? I mean, yeah, we could.
Well,
we
no,
can go
it's
for
not-
4 hours if you'd like. No, it's okay, Rob. We can go for
It's
4
not
hours.
whether I'm sure. I'm down for going for another hour and talking some more about the House of M. But Benny says that he's got stuff he needs to do.
I gotta go buy comic books. Like, literally, that's.
Like, that's what I'm going to do is buy comic books. I mean, you know. But yeah, I mean, we've gone on for 2 hours or so, and I think it's good enough to go ahead and call it a day. But
Are you sure, Rob? Are
I'm
you
sure. I'm sure.
Are you positive?
I'm confident in this statement.
Are you positive?
Yes.
Okay.
End video. Just
Really
right there.
good.
Just end it right there.
All right. Did we give Sal his outro plug? I don't think we did.
We gave him a
I
ton
stole
of plugs.
one, but I could do another one, sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
why
sure.
not? Go
do
for it.
another one. Who cares?
Just in case nobody's heard it at this point.
Exactly. If you don't know TV Little House by now, you never will. But if you don't, come to youtube.com/TVLittleHouse or littlehouseonline.com. It's where I do my magic.
For those of you wondering, he basically does what Rob and I do, but he does it explaining it. Imagine if you were all in the room with me as I explained a video in Comic Story, and you had no idea what's going on. That's what Sal does.
Yeah.
He does it with people who don't get it.
Yeah, mine's a little bit more contempt, I think.
Why
Because
have
I'm
you not
remembering
read
it,
this?
you know, yeah. It's yeah. So we got a number of shows, back issues, off the rack, bonus round, busted, and yeah. So
Like,
what we do.
what frame of mind could you possibly be in that you never read Age of Apocalypse? What's wrong with you?
Well, I read Age of Apocalypse when it came out. I don't have a copy of it.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of it to draw from. Like, I would literally be like, okay, so Legion, and then I'd be like, and then some stuff happened, and then they undid it.
Sal, I have a request for your next episode.
Okay.
Final Crisis.
Final Crisis. Okay.
Oh, God. No.
Look, it's on the list, man. I gotta.
I want to see you explain that to Ethan and Ben.
It's. I mean, I feel like I have just by being like, so there's this Omega sanction. Let me actually really quick. Like this is my list right now. I've got like this list on my phone.
I've got a massive list myself. All the requests. You just write them down and go, okay.
Yeah. There's a guy who really wants World War Hulk. I'll probably do that at some point. The Max, I'd like to talk about at some point. The Avengers JLA crossover, the Clone Saga, Kingdom Come, Preacher.
Oh, Kingdom Come, such a good story.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Explaining
Justice?
just aliens in the Marvel Universe.
Are you going to do Justice?
Hmm?
Justice. That's another good...
The Alex Ross Justice?
Yeah.
I know Ben has read that, so I'll have to...
I have the Absolute Edition of that. I love it so much.
Nice.
Well, next week I'm putting out my Final Crisis comic story and video,
cool.
so we can kind of like have a crossover thing, you know?
Yeah.
Here's this. Now watch him try to explain it himself.
Yeah, the two people have no context for it, so it's like, okay, so there's these new gods.
Half my script for that Final Crisis video so far, half that script is explaining before Final Crisis.
Yeah, you have to set it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Infinite Crisis, but before that I gotta...
How do you get your friends to do this?
They like... well, because this was inspired from literally just them asking me random questions. Like I'd have books like lying around the house, and they'd come over and be like, "What is this?" And I'd be like, "Oh, well, here's the comic."
Yeah.
And that would lead to more questions, and that would lead to more questions and more context that needed to be explained. So, yeah, like, and so I was like, "Hey, why don't we turn the camera on and actually just make the show out of this?"
I mean, it was an awesome idea, man. Like I love the videos that you guys make. Like they're entertaining. But yeah, I mean, I feel you, man. Like explaining comic books can be a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, because like I'll sit down and make my videos, and it's like, how can I explain this from the perspective of somebody that doesn't know anything about it? And it's hard to put yourselves back in that shoes, back in those shoes again. It's hard to like put yourself in a frame of mind where it's like, I don't know anything about this storyline, know. So it's kind of difficult to do, but yeah, man,
I've run
like,
into the same problem.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. I'll be writing up a script and I'll get halfway through the script and I'm like, does this make any sense? And then I have to go like back to the beginning and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta explain this and I gotta go over this now.
Yeah.
And then I actually send my scripts over to the guys that you're in the same chat with, but I send it to a group of people who don't read comics but are interested, kind of like Ethan and Ben for you. And I go, read this. Do you grasp it?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you following me so far? Like,
yeah. I mean, that's the same thing I did with Civil War Part 4. I sent it off to them and was like, let me know if it doesn't make any sense. And they were like, I mean, it sounds good to me. So I was like, good enough. Upload.
Can you follow along? If not, we have to start over.
Yep. But okay, so for the actual, like, for real and for true, we're gonna wrap this podcast up.
Okay.
But again, if you guys are interested in the whole idea of, again, comic book explanations, if you guys are interested in video game discussions, if you guys are interested in kind of, these round table reviews of, comic books that are new and fresh, then TVLittleHouse is where you want to go. I mean, Sal has some really, really, really good content on his channel. We definitely want to have him come back and let us know what you guys think. Let us know what you guys think about this whole podcast, because we like having Sal here. We'd love to have Sal back. And again, we'll have him back next week for, our House of M discussion. And yeah,
it'd be nice to have someone who understands DC. So that way, when I start going into DC rants, it's not just me talking in the studio going, how long has Benny been going on about DC again?
It's going on 15 minutes now.
So as we wind this back to Marvel, yes.
But yeah, so let us know what you guys think. And, I guess, for the last tidbit, again, I'll be continuing Civil War. We are at part 4, so we're over halfway through. So we've got, 5, 6, and 7. We've got the tie-ins, so we'll probably have that wrapped up here in the next few weeks. Hopefully, fingers crossed, by the beginning of August. So that series will be finished. From there, we'll transition on to probably the House of M within a month after that, when Benny gets done with Avengers Disassembled and maybe some individual stories between that time period. But yeah, so what do you guys have going on your channels coming up?
Over at Comic Storian, I'm actually, because I've been doing my 3-week break right now, I'm officially coming back. I did put a video out today, yesterday, and I'm putting out this one today. But I'll officially be back next week. I'm going to launch 2 Know Your Universes, explaining what the New 52 and what Marvel Now are and why they had to happen, as opposed to just saying all the time that they got New 52 or Marvel Now. I'm also going to bring out the Final Crisis storyline finally, and I'm going to begin my Guardians of the Galaxy month. Every week I'm going to explain one member of the current team of Guardians of the Galaxy, and we're going to end that by going over the first arc in which Iron Man joined up in, as David liked to joke about, the Guardians of Iron Man. So I'm also going to start over the course of this month, I'm not sure when, but we'll start going in the direction of House of M so we can link together with Rob here. So.
And what I've got coming up is more Civil War. I'm doing my 7-part hardcover series right now to show people kind of how to collect what Rob is talking about. I'm not sure. You guys might be able to help in the comments what video I should do next. I'm thinking about either Frontline or Spider-Man. And keep in mind that they collect more than
Frontline,
just what
the
the binding says. But Spider-Man, I think
so many
has
people
some.
that question.
What's that?
Spider-Man, because I've got a lot of people who question what order should I read Spider-Man and buy this stuff.
Yeah, the problem is the Spider-Man hardcover is out of print, and it is also like House of M, $150.
But you could look this up. You could buy all the Dan Slott run stuff for a lot cheaper in paperback.
Yeah, probably.
And he's been doing this since issue 600 or something now.
Yeah.
Dan Slott's been going a while.
All right. So that's what I've got coming up on my channel. What about you, Sal?
Well, we just came out yesterday with our Nightfall episode of Back Issues. This week we are doing we're reviewing on Off the Rack Superman number 32, Aquaman number 32, and Original Sin Hulk vs. Iron Man number 1. And I never really know what episode of Back Issues we're going to do until we do it, but I'm teetering on World War Hulk. But maybe Secret War, I'm not sure. It really depends on what we have in the store that I really, really want to talk about.
Good enough.
So, yeah, I know we really should do Infinity Gauntlet at some point.
Yes,
So.
yes, man. You got to do Infinity Gauntlet.
The omnibus for that is actually coming out. Actually, it has officially come out as of the 1st.
Oh, cool.
They released it earlier than was originally projected, I guess. So.
Nice.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll see you guys back here next week. We'll have Sal again, and like I said, we'll be doing House of M, and we'll try to get more topics sorted out. And yeah, so we might even do a viewer Q&A if anybody wants to do something like that. They can just ask us
We could do it live.
We could do it live.
Yeah.
I've got a Twitch channel already set up that I horribly keep to that schedule on. It's supposed to be streaming every night at 7 p.m. That never happens.
But yeah, so we'll catch you guys later.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.